I have Liz Chard-Cooper, the collections manager from the Transport Museum, and we're here at that very venue for future moves, which is very exciting. It's going to be looking at the future of transport and technology, which Coventry is at the forefront of, and Liz is going to kindly take us round and show us a little bit, give us a snapshot, a sneaky insight into the exhibition, and then obviously you lot can come down yourselves and find out more. So let's start here. What have we got here?
Okay, so this is all about the future, and that's the last section. So
let's go this way.
So look around now. So the point of this exhibition is to kind of inspire people to understand a little bit more about the technology that's being developed in and around Coventry. So we've been working for 6 months with companies, big, small and large, and everything in between. Lots of different education providers, from apprenticeship schemes to on-the-job training to the universities, and plural universities, just to get their ideas about what exciting new technology is being developed. So this is just a little bit of a sneaky peek through the things you might want to consider. So one of the areas that we look at with automotive is how much material goes into your vehicle. So we're lucky, we have Jarvis Cocker's helmet in our collection, but it was crushed by Jarvis Cocker. So for us, it's a really good example of just how much metal and goods and gubbins go into a vehicle. So we're using it to explain all of those precious minerals and materials that go into a vehicle today, and now how we need to think about using those a bit more sensibly in the future, and what the future of green automotive industry might look like.
So he's had that pulped as a...
Yeah, he has absolutely had that pulp. He gave it away in a raffle to some of his followers, and eventually it came to us a couple of years ago. So now pride of place in our collection. It's a Hillman ink that was made in Coventry, so it's got a reason for being here. So we've worked with local companies like AP Racing, Skyfair, Ashley's, the student racing teams from Warwick and Coventry University. We've worked with the robotics teams, we've worked with the drone making teams as well. So we've got kind of examples of all of their lovely work underway. One of the exciting things that we've got in Warwick is that they actually have, as part of their engineering degree, the opportunity to do an engineering course and a placement, so they can join a team. So it could be the Warwick racing team, it could be the submersible team, it could be the satellite making team. So that's a submarine which they have raced all over the world against other universities. It's a one-person submersible, ironically designed to not be completely airtight, because they would be inside that with a scuba kit on as well. But they would race it against other teams in America and abroad. And they do pretty well with it as well, but it's all sponsored and all made locally. And the point of it is that the students are learning how to engage with businesses, how to get involved with projects, and how to make things from scratch.
So you don't think of submarine racing, do you? You think of like boat racing and stuff, but submarine racing as well.
Yeah, and we're really lucky because all of the teams and all of the universities are really supportive. We've got lots of content from lots of different people.
Now, here's some familiar sights.
Absolutely. So the newly rolled out cycle hire boy scooter. So cycle hire is actually a patch lease which is strapped to the leader. So that's that company, but also in Coventry, the charging points and the lock tracks are all made by a company called Sargenson's, also Coventry made. So it's a really good kind of example of how local companies are working to try and make a greener future with the big Transport West Midlands team.
I mean, it's great because the bicycle did start in Coventry, but you don't realise how much more stuff is being created at the current time, do you?
Absolutely, and that's the lovely thing about this exhibition. I've spent 6 months talking to lots and lots of people from lots of different companies, learning all about the exciting world that goes on behind their doors, which we don't normally see as members of the public. So they've opened up their doors and they've told me what they make, how they make it, how they're getting greener and more sustainable in their process.
Now we've got an e-cargo Trike here, because obviously if you are going to be using bikes, you're going to need to be able to transport stuff, and this does exactly that.
But it's a bit of a challenging one, so we call it the last mile. So how are you going to get your products for the last mile of your journey, which doesn't involve a motor engine? So this is one way of doing that. So you've got an articulated vehicle. So Pashley's, again, they've created this new version of the cargo bike. So it tilts as you go round. So the cargo bit stays exactly stationary. This nice and upright, and the built by itself tilts. So they've had to work out how to make that actually happen. So quite a feat of engineering.
And I believe there's versions where you could take your kids as well, because obviously school runs and things, if you want to, like you say, the first to last mile, parent wants to drop the children at school and then get to the railway station. So you can get bikes now, can't you, with seats?
There's lots of different types. You've got cut downs and you've got packables and all sorts of things. So there are companies that are designing systems so that you've got a vehicle that's an EV, so an electric vehicle, which is a big van, like the LEVC van behind you, and then in the back of that there's already a little cargo trike, so the driver could, in theory, stop at the end of the city centre and then offload his cargo into that and then get it into the main part of the city without using any form of motor power.
Excellent.
There's lots of nice little technology. So even if it's things like the colour tarmac that you see in and around the city centre, it's all carefully designed to help you walk around the city in a different way. So subconsciously you're being influenced by the lighting that you might find. So if you think about horse up by the railway station, Trigger's horse, that's been relit by Balfour Beatty to try and make people feel safer in that area and make sure the lights are correct. So there'll be other areas where the City Council are using lights to direct people into certain routes. And again, the lights are all smart, so they've been left smart lights, so that my street lamp doesn't look exciting, except it's on a timer, so it's incredibly green, so it'll turn off when it's not needed. Little things, like one of my favourite things, I'm a very nerdy person, is these things. We pass them every single day on our roads, but they're not connected to the electricity involved. So you've got a little solar power panel on the top of them, and that's the thing that keeps them illuminated. And that's just one little example of that little bit of innovation that will make life a lot easier to us stay from.
I think the thing is as well, we've had a lot in the news lately about safety and councils turning off street lamps, and obviously with these, more people wanting to feel safe at night, getting from A to B. That's your solution, isn't it? The lights turn on and off when people are there, and don't operate when. Excellent.
Even the rubber roads are being trialled for the first time. So using rubber tyres recycled to form road surfaces in and around Coventry. So wherever they can, they're being incredibly green in the City Council.
And when you come off your bike, you won't get grit in your finger.
Absolutely.
Which is good. So what are we moving on to now?
So we're talking about how you have to think about different types of big subjects. So if you've got an electric vehicle, do you have the skills to repair it if it goes wrong? If it goes wrong, will it go wrong in the first place? It's not a traditional type of engine, so you can't have a traditional mechanic just pop the bonnet and get on with it. If your fuel cell goes wrong at the centre of the city, how are you going to fix it? So you need new skills. So we've got the institutions like the Hareva Technical Institute that are training up a new generation of mechanics who are not just dealing with petrol and diesel, but they're also able to cope with EVs and lots of different types of EVs as well. Things like the AA have had to think through how you can tow an EV because it might be too heavy for a normal petrol vehicle to fix. So they've had to develop with local companies, and this is another example of that, something which is really simple. It's a freewheeling hub, so you have a puncture on the right side of the road by your EV, they come on, they put that freewheeling hub onto your vehicle, you can then get to the garage to get your puncture fixed. If you didn't have that, potentially they'd have to get a big low loader to come and pick you up because your EV might be too large and too heavy for their vehicle to tow.
So it's the next level of the space saver, isn't it? Because the space saver tyre that you're just supposed to put on to get to where you get, so you can get a real wheel on.
But it means that you as a driver can be off the road within half an hour like normal, whereas you would have to hang around waiting for a big low loader. So there's lots of little things like that that are happening that the public aren't aware of, just in the background. And EVs are becoming a lot more safer, they're becoming a lot more reliable, the batteries are lasting longer and the range is getting better. So as their price is dropping, things like this will become more and more common for us to have to kind of think through.
Which is why the gigafactory is the missing piece of the jigsaw, isn't it? We've just seen this actually, this amazing piece of equipment here.
It is good. I'm really interested to see.
So this thing can detect human movements, and if I raise my hand there you are, the lights flash. That just shows you that it's working, but it's got the potential to actually stop accidents and things by the car actually recognising someone's in front of it, isn't
Yeah,
it?
absolutely. So it's facial recognition. It helps you talk to the car and how it interacts with you. If you think about the fact that we might end up having lots of autonomous vehicles on the road, then you've got to think about, well, what's the city going to look like? Do you even need road signs anymore because the car will already know where it can and can't go? How is it going to interact with the pedestrian crossing the road? Do you want your cars to be friendly? Do you smile as it stops to let you go past? Things like that. So there's lots of new little bits and pieces like that.
So there's quirkiness as well as the safety.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's other bits and pieces. So we've got on display items from Ricardo and GE as well, which are all local companies.
Okay.
So thinking through how you make your engines safer and greener and more efficient, so you're not burning so much energy as you're using your vehicles. Again, GE is pioneering electric maritime engines in Rugby, of all places. Landlocked Rugby is the home of maritime technology and new engines being created that are going to make for greener maritime ships of all different sizes as well. So we're lucky to be able to have one.
So Coventry's back, Coventry and Rugby and Warwickshire have got basically all bases covered.
Oh,
road, rail, and talking of rail, we've got this. That looks familiar, we've written about that plenty of times. The Very Light Rail that's coming. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
That Very Light Rail is a really interesting project that will be going live in the next few years in Coventry. This is the model of the front of it, and on the screen you'll be able to see lots of film from it being made to it being tested. It's over at Dudley at the moment in the testing phase, so they're running it on real track for the first time. So it's going to be really exciting to see that in and around the city centre.
And it'll be like the Midland Metro, but a fifth of the price, won't it, to install and stuff. So
another example of Coventry leading the way.
Indeed, we've got this here as well. This is, I presume, this is the carriage for the Very Light Rail.
No,
isn't it?
No, this is on the end. There it goes. 12-seater minibus. So think about it as if it's a minibus version of that little tiny one-person pod that you might see talking about. So this is all fully autonomous. This is their prototype, and they're testing it to and fro, taking groups of people, and it's exactly that. It's an autonomous vehicle, so it will take you through that destination.
Now you come to mention it's the one they tested in Cambridge, isn't it?
Yeah, they're testing this in Cambridge.
Yeah, they tested it in Cambridge, and basically autonomous buses.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's lovely for us because we had on display the very first prototype upstairs of the little first-person jobby, and now we've got this one on display for this. So I'm hoping that the new autonomous vehicles, which are designed for the aviation industry, will also come to us eventually. So I'm kind of asking.
And we've got a video screen there showing those tests. Although I don't think it went quite that fast around Cambridge. Hopefully not. Right, what have we got next?
So let's have a look at my little Kivon robot. I'm a little bit in love with this. I'm calling him Kevin because he's from Kivon. So he's a little autonomous vehicle that you'll find in lots of the factories carrying to and fro gear and tugs. It's something that the automotive industry are using a lot of. And this is the newest model of it that's come across from Spain for us to have on display. But it's all to do with taking the next level of factory human robot colleague kind of future. So
I just love how everything looks so futuristic, like Star Wars and things. And the great thing is like Cambridge and like Coventry itself as well, with the cathedral and the cathedral ruins. It'd be great to see all these little vehicles, these modern futuristic vehicles, and a backdrop of the cathedral, the old and the new. It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
And what have we got next?
Right, so then we've got exciting space things. So again, one of the projects that Warwick University students can do if they're part of the engineering team is be part of the WooSat team, the satellite team. So although it doesn't look very impressive, this bit here, WooSat 3, has actually been to the International Space Station and has come back. So what they're doing at the moment with their student teams is they're creating nano satellites. So we're used to thinking about satellites as being large, bulky things that do lots and lots of jobs. And today, satellites are becoming much more cheaper to make if you make them just do one job. So they can be this size, so that's literally the size of Rubik's Cube, really. And then that goes up and it does one particular job. So WooSat 3 is the prototype that will be going up, and the role that it's going to be playing is monitoring wildlife populations in remote areas. So that will allow us to then look at where those populations are, where there's problems, where the conservation teams need to go next to help that animal or that endangered species kind of get a little bit more of a stronger foothold again. So it's impressive, and again, it's all designed by students with help from their university teams, and you can see it up on the screen.
And it's technology for good as well, which is what we like.
It is, absolutely. And there are other companies in this area that are looking at the future of space junk. So at the moment there's a bit of a pea soup effect around planet Earth, with lots and lots of technology knocking around, getting in the way. Eventually all of that debris needs to come down, otherwise we're going to run out of space up there. Run out of space.
Run out of space in space.
So there's lots of companies out there at the moment trying to work out how to grab that space junk and bring it down into the atmosphere, either to burn off or to reuse as well. And some of that technology is only 20, 30 years old, but things have changed so quickly they can't even talk to those satellites anymore because the coding doesn't exist anymore. So they've got to think through all of these logistical problems. So the future of STEM technology and the future of STEM careers is immense. So it's a really exciting time if you're in your early teenage years to think about different types of careers that you might want to have. And there'll be something out there for you that's a
And we do need more young people getting into STEM.
Absolutely, and it's thinking through that it's not just about holding a spanner and doing this, it's the computer coding, it's thinking through all sorts of different areas as well. So there will be a STEM career, and I'm hoping that when young people come into this space we can open their eyes a little bit and they can think through and maybe be inspired to go and have a look at a different type of course than they might have thought of to start with.
Basically all the stuff that's gone above my head, to be honest, in the years. And now we've got the last bit of the exhibition, haven't we?
We do. Now we have we've whetted your appetite.
Have you saved the best till last, have you?
We've whetted your appetite, we've thought about it, posed you some questions as a visitor. Now this is what some of our contributors think the future might look like. So it could be the future of public transport is hydrogen. So we've got a hydrogen car behind you that's in production at the moment from Microcaps, it's a local company. So we know that technology works. In other countries we've got a lot of technology that's already on the road and on the rail, which is hydrogen. So we've got local companies that are in Southern and in Warwickshire and in Coventry that are designing hydrogen rail systems, hydrogen charging points for cars, that kind of thing. So we might see more hydrogen vehicles in the future than electric vehicles. So with public transport, it might well be that we will end up in something like this, a hydrogen passenger vehicle.
They're already on the way, aren't they, hydrogen buses?
Hydrogen buses are pretty much there. Germany is leading the way at the moment. Even America have got hydrogen cars.
I hope they're going to put more windows in.
I do hope so. But again, using hydrogen and also solar power, so it's a mixed version of fuel. And then we've already talked about things like the urban airports and the potential that we could all be flying on little tiny airports and drones will be going to and fro.
Yeah, we've got it there, the urban airport. Near the Rico Arena, that's going to be, isn't it?
May well be.
So, and also, so it's just space travel really. Coventry's got a nail now, and then we've got it all covered.
We're getting there. We are becoming a space hub in the next few years. There'll be more and more space-related companies in and around Coventry. We already know they're beginning, but we're in the starter phase of those. And the rest of this area is looking at what Coventry University students are thinking about. So in a post-pandemic world, how do we make people feel comfortable to drive or be in a driverless pod if there's another pandemic? So thinking that through. We're really lucky as well because Coventry University students have come up with their graduate projects. So they've looked at integrating technology so that your autonomous vehicle might well actually then clamp onto the side of your house and become a part of your living space. A bit far out there, but it's very viable. So they've been doing lots and lots of work for us, and we're really lucky that we've been able to get some of their final project work in this exhibition as well.
So summing up, future moves, how long is it on display till?
It's in until the end of October, so it's well worth going down and having a look. And over that period you might well find that 2 or 3 things are coming in, which I can't tell you about at the moment, and a couple of things are leaving, so it's well worth keeping an eye on it.
Now it's a lovely sunny day today, but there are going to be rainy days over the summer holidays. So if there is one, get yourself down to Coventry Transport Museum for future moves on until October.